You're not just shopping. You're living an experiment where you are the mouse and the cheese is on sale for $9.99. From offering you a bad deal to sell you a better one, to Netflix guiding you toward its own content to make more money, and even the occasional bit of sabotage to push you into upgrading, the whole game is rigged. You're just the final link in a chain designed by behavioral economists, neuromarketers, and data scientists to steer you into choices that make somebody else money. I'm Mike with List 25, and these are 25 dirty tactics businesses use on customers. 25. They give you a fake deal to sell a real one. Companies love to look generous by giving you 3 choices, but one of them is often nothing more than bait. Dan Ariely proved that when he tested the Economist subscription page. They listed 3 offers: $59 for online access, $125 for print only, and $125 for both print and online. The middle option looked ridiculous. Why pay the same price for less? Almost no one did, but the presence of that option made the print and online bundle look like a win. People bought the most expensive plan in far higher numbers, even when it wasn't what they originally came for. You'll see the same thing with fast food combos, gym memberships, software plans, and even airline seating. One option is always there to make the profitable one look smart, and half the time, we thank them for it. 24. Recommended for you means good for them. That little row on Netflix saying, "because you watched," feels special. Like these guys actually care about what we like. Except that suggestion isn't always about your taste. It's about what keeps you sitting there. Netflix treats your viewing history like a compass that shifts the direction to where it profits most. If a show has a better profit margin or pushes subscribers toward originals, the algorithm quietly moves it to the front. It feels like you discovered it, but you were actually pushed. Yet it's not the only one who does this. Amazon does it with product listings, and Spotify does it with artists they're invested in. Personalization looks friendly, but it has one job. The longer you stay, the more money they make. 23. They track you automatically, unless you turn it off. One of the easiest ways for a company to get what it wants is to make the choice for you before you even see it. Take Meta, for example. When you create an account or start using its apps, a lot of the settings, like ad targeting, activity tracking, and data linking, are turned on by default. That means you start off opted in, not because you asked for it, but because you did nothing. Most people never bother digging through the settings to change them, and Meta counts on that. It's basic psychological manipulation. In fact, it has a name. Psychologists call it status quo bias. When something is already selected, people tend to leave it that way. 22. You're pressured with fake urgency. Scarcity is one of the oldest tricks in the book, and online travel sites use it well. If you've ever seen something that says, "only 1 room left," or 10 people viewing this right now, you are being pushed, not informed. Several investigations into these systems have shown that the numbers usually reflect website traffic and not the actual number of rooms left. So the goal isn't accuracy, but urgency. It plays into loss aversion, which means we react faster when we feel like something might slip away. Amazon uses the same move with only 3 left in stock warnings, while warehouses may be filled with the same item. Scarcity messages work because no one wants to miss out, and websites lean on that instinct to move you to check out with less hesitation. 21. Casinos use comfort and curves to keep you inside. Everything in a casino guides you towards playing longer. Straight hallways are rare because sharp turns make people think harder about where they're going. The more you think, the more likely you are to stop. Curved paths also keep you moving and eventually place you in front of another slot machine, which, just so happens to be where most casinos earn a large share of revenue, often more than table games combined. They even reinforce that mindset with comfort. Plush seats, low lighting, privacy screens, and nearby ATMs make it easy to settle in. And if you hit a losing streak, they'll often provide free play credits or comped meals to soften the blow. Their ultimate goal is to not let you leave, because the longer you stay, more money they make. 20. Prices get inflated so that the sale looks amazing. Anchoring is when a company shows you a big number first, so everything after feels smaller. Your brain grabs the first price it sees and uses it as the baseline for value. In 2012, JCPenney actually took a gamble to see what would happen if they removed that baseline. They scrapped fake discounts and switched to simple, fair pricing. Instead of a shirt going from $80 to $24, it was just $24. Shoppers were not impressed. Their sales fell by roughly $1 billion that year because the sale tag was gone, and with it, the sense of winning. Everyone in sales does the same thing. Realtors show you the expensive house first. Car dealerships stick a giant markdown sticker over an inflated starting price. Streaming platforms and gyms add a ridiculous premium tier so the mid-tier looks sensible. Everyone likes to follow the same tried and tested recipe. 19. Cutting fat usually means adding something worse. Light and low fat sound like the safer option in the grocery aisle, but those labels leave out what really matters. When companies remove fat from a product, they often replace it with sugar, salt, or artificial thickeners to make it taste good again. You might get a yogurt with low fat, but it can easily have more calories and twice the added sugar. The label tells you what's missing, not what was added to compensate. The problem is that fat isn't the enemy. We need it to absorb vitamins, fuel our brains, and keep us full between meals. When everything labeled light or low fat is actually engineered to taste sweet, people end up hungrier and less nourished. 18. Gymnasiums want you to fail. The gym membership business model works best when you don't show up. Americans spend a surprising amount of money on fitness every month, not just on memberships, but also supplements, activewear, and food marketed as healthy. Over a lifetime, that can add up to more than the cost of a college degree. Yet the country still struggles with obesity, and one reason is simple: participation. A lot of people sign up motivated, and then fade out and never cancel. That is highly profitable. Empty treadmills mean less equipment repair and lower maintenance costs. Planet Fitness made this strategy part of its identity. Some of their gyms have more than 7,000 members, even though only a few hundred could fit inside at once. Their lunk alarm discourages heavy lifting, and free weights are placed in low-traffic corners. They even host pizza or bagel nights, which, sort of defeats the whole purpose. 17. Restaurants use color to control how you eat. McDonald's didn't choose red and yellow because they look nice together. Red increases stimulation and energy, and it raises heart rate slightly, which can make you feel hungry. Yellow feels warm, quick, and friendly. Put them side by side and you get a color pairing that encourages appetite and fast decision making. Other chains use the same palette for the same reason. Burger King, KFC, In-N-Out, and Wendy's all lean into red to boost stimulation and yellow to make the place feel inviting. On the other end of the spectrum, fine dining leans toward dark greens, browns, and dim lighting to slow you down. Airlines use calming blues to reduce anxiety. Hospitals do too. Color is the perfect tool to control people's behavior, and companies know how to use it. 16. Still on restaurants. Did you know restaurants can influence what you order without changing the food at all? They simply do it with wording. A normal chicken breast becomes tender, juicy, and drenched in a tangy sauce. And regular ice cream becomes sweet and creamy. The longer and more descriptive the phrasing, the better it sells. Some menus even throw in foreign terms because Italian shrimp scampi tagliatelle sounds fancier than noodles with shrimp and butter. Then there's nostalgia. Grandma's fresh homemade cookies sell better even though Grandma has never set foot in that kitchen. Menus also use visual tricks. Tiny fonts slow you down, and prices lose their sting when the dollar sign disappears. A dish at $9.85 feels cheaper than $10, even though the difference is almost nothing. And the pricing order matters. A $20 entree looks expensive next to a $10 one, but put it under a $50 item and suddenly it feels like a deal. 15. Companies want your device to die. Planned obsolescence means designing a product so it won't last as long as it could, either through updates that slow it down or hardware that ages faster than necessary. Apple became the most famous case when French regulators fined the company for throttling older iPhones without clearly telling users what was happening. Apple argued it was battery management. The result was the same. People were basically forced to upgrade. Look at some of your other appliances through that same lens, and the patterns will become almost impossible to ignore. Batteries are sealed inside casings instead of being clipped in like they used to be. Printer cartridges that stop working while ink is still inside. Headphones that cost almost as much to repair as to replace. You don't need proof of their intent to see the outcome. 14. 5 stars can be bought. A long review list does something to the brain. You see 15,000 ratings and a 4.6 average, and your guard drops. You relax because, clearly everybody else has already road tested it. That is social proof at work. We judge a product by how other people seem to feel about it and not by what it is. And on Amazon, for example, that trust can be misplaced. A lot of their 5-star listings got there through discount codes, cashback groups, or reviewers who were rewarded for saying something nice. FakeSpot and Review Meta exist for a reason, but most shoppers don't even get that far. They see the number, nod, and click Add to Cart. 13. Non-GMO is often just marketing. Non-GMO sounds like a promise. It feels protective, almost medical. The problem is that the phrase often appears where it makes no sense. Salt cannot be genetically modified, yet you can buy non-GMO salt. Water cannot carry modified DNA, but the label shows up there too. The badge implies that choosing the unlabeled version could be risky, even when both products are identical. Funny enough, decades of review and regulation show that genetically modified crops are just as safe to eat as conventional ones. Some even solve real-world problems with drought tolerance, higher yields, or improved nutrition. The non-GMO sticker still wins the sale, though, because it lets shoppers feel like they made the better choice, even when the choice was emotional instead of nutritional. 12. Social media is built to keep you scrolling. Asa Raskin designed the Infinite Scroll in 2006 while working for a user interface company called Humanized. At the time, it was simply a clever idea to make browsing smoother. Years later, however, after every major social platform adopted it, he admitted he never expected it to be so addictive. Infinite Scroll removes the natural pause where your brain normally decides to stop. You swipe, new content appears instantly, and there's never a moment to check in with yourself. Today, tech companies have entire teams working on these feedback loops just so you stay there a little longer each time. Former insiders from Facebook and other platforms have said the same thing in different words. Retention drives profit. So the more time you spend scrolling, liking, refreshing, and returning, the more money you generate. 11. Your sitcom runs faster to make room for extra commercials. Cable TV found a loophole a while back. If you run a show slightly faster, you can fit more ads into the same broadcast slot without anyone having to change the schedule. And yet most viewers never noticed. A half-hour episode might finish a minute or two early. The dialogue can sound a touch quicker, and those saved seconds turn into extra commercial space worth serious money. Networks leaned on this when ad rates started dropping and streaming competition grew. It was a quiet way to stretch revenue without announcing a change. Occasionally, however, someone close to the work spots it. Courtney Cox, for example, has said Friends sounded sped up in reruns. A Wizard of Oz historian noticed the same thing with the Munchkins. Most viewers never hear it, but the networks do. In dollars. 10. Grocery stores put high-margin items at eye level. The supermarket is not neutral ground. The moment you walk in, the store starts shaping how you feel. Flowers, bright fruit, warm lights, and that roast chicken smell are there to lower your guard before you even reach a shelf. Slow music keeps your pace gentle. A relaxed shopper looks longer, picks up more, and walks out with extras they never planned to buy. Shelves follow the same logic. Eye level is reserved for products with the highest margins, not the best price or the best nutrition. The cheaper options are lower, down to your ankles, or up where you won't bother stretching. Kids get sugar cereals placed exactly where they can stare at them. Even the path through the store is shaped to make you loop instead of leave. 9. Tap water is more regulated than bottled water. Around half of the bottled water sold in the United States is not from a glacier, a spring, or a mountain stream. It's tap water that's been filtered, packaged, and priced like something exotic. The fluoride that helps protect teeth often gets removed during processing, which means some bottled water offers less cavity protection than the water that comes from a household faucet. Public tap water falls under EPA oversight, with fluoride levels regulated for safety where fluoridation is in place. Bottled water is overseen by the FDA and does not have to include fluoride at all. The rest is branding. Words like glacier fresh, mountain cold, and natural source sound scientific, but tell you nothing useful. Most of the time you're paying for plastic, shelf space, and marketing, not cleaner water. 8. Reward systems work like behavioral reinforcement. A loyalty card used to be a punch stamp, but Starbucks turned it into a video game. You buy a drink, and you get stars in return. Earn enough stars and you hit a new level. Then, limited challenges appear, with special multiplier days and surprise bonus goals. None of that changes the coffee, but it changes your behavior. A streak feels like progress. Breaking it feels like a loss. That is a powerful lever. Gamification shows up everywhere now. Streaks on language apps, step goals with virtual trophies, habit trackers that shower you in digital confetti for brushing your teeth on time. The reward isn't valuable, but the feeling is. You are collecting progress the way a gamer collects achievements. Companies love that because once you're invested in the cycle, you spend to stay in it. 7. Starbucks also uses placement, light, and signage to upsell you. Yep. They're masters of the art. Before you ever hit the register, Starbucks makes sure you've already seen half the menu through the glass. Posters sit at eye height, new drinks greet you at the door, and seasonal items hover right by the handle. The store layout then guides you past the seating area, even if you only came in for a quick pickup. Just seeing a table can change your plan. Sit down, and the company knows there's a good chance you'll order something else. A second drink, a snack, a refill. It adds up almost invisibly. The counter pushes things even further. Bright lighting, close conversation, and zero pressure to rush make it easy to say yes when the barista mentions a bakery item or a new syrup flavor. While you wait for your cup, you stand beside shelves of mugs, cards, snacks, and shiny add-ons. Nothing screams for attention. Everything simply sits where your eyes naturally land. 6. Doctors are legally allowed to receive pharma money. The drug industry puts a lot of money into maintaining relationships with doctors. Years ago, it was more open. Some physicians were kept on retainers, flown out for golf weekends, or treated to fancy dinners as long as they stuck to certain prescriptions. However, that kind of reward system was mostly shut down in the early 2000s when new rules banned retainers and capped gifts. But the spending did not stop. It just changed shape. Today, drug companies can still pay doctors for consulting work, speaking at events, taking part in research, or even just attending industry dinners. All of this is legal as long as it's disclosed. That's why the government created open payments. You type in a doctor's name and you can see what they were paid and by whom. A payment doesn't automatically mean a doctor is prescribing you something for the wrong reason, but the financial reality is big enough that patients should know it exists. 5. Apple lets you play with the product to sell it. Walk into an Apple store and nobody has to tell you to start touching things. The layout does that for them. Laptops sit in an open angle so you can see the screen the moment you walk up. iPhones are unlocked, connected to Wi-Fi, and just waiting to be picked up. The store almost feels quiet on purpose. You see, Apple wants customers using the devices, not thinking about them from a distance. The longer you tap, swipe, and explore, the more personal the product feels. And when it feels personal, it feels worth buying. 4. Apple's design is so trusted that scammers use it too. Apple mastered the clean, simple, don't think, just use it design so well that scammers now copy it to deceive people into handing over Apple IDs, passwords, or credit card details. A fake page can look almost identical to the real thing. Some even buy domains like apple.com or supportappleLogin.com, hoping you don't notice that extra letter. When the styling is familiar, most people don't read the URL. They just type. The same trick appears in e-commerce. Counterfeit stores use crisp product photos, minimalist layouts, and glowing reviews to feel premium even when the product behind the screen is cheap dropship stock. The fact is that a polished design convinces us faster than the text ever could. 3. Detox products don't cleanse you, they dehydrate you. A detox is one of those words that feels scientific even when it's not. Teas, gummies, and cleanse kits usually claim to scrub toxins from your body, but the organs doing the scrubbing are, already built in. Your liver processes waste. Your kidneys remove it. Nothing in a detox blend replaces or improves that system. In many cases, the active ingredient is a laxative or diuretic, meaning you lose water, not poison. The scale drops fast only because fluids do. Once you rehydrate, the weight returns. The promise sells more than the product. Everyone likes the idea of a reset button. A 3-day cleanse sounds easier than months of fiber, vegetables, and hydration. That's why detox companies lean on transformation stories instead of peer-reviewed results. 2. Energy efficient doesn't always mean efficient today. A fridge with a bright energy efficient sticker feels like the responsible choice, the long-term saver, the eco-friendly upgrade. The catch is that many of those certifications are based on old standards. A product can meet the minimum requirement from years ago and still carry the badge, even if newer models use far less power, simply because the label survives longer than the technology it represents. Manufacturers also have a seat at the testing table, which can soften how products are evaluated. Lab results don't always match real homes with real load patterns, and buyers can end up spending more for savings that barely show up on the bill. 1. They change the price based on who you are. Dynamic pricing turns every shopping session into a negotiation you didn't even know you were having. The price you see when you're buying anything online is usually calculated on the spot based on things like your location, your past purchases, and your time of day. Even how fast you scroll can change the number. Airlines famously use this to squeeze the maximum out of every seat. If you check a flight repeatedly, the fare might rise because the system reads your visits as interest, not comparison. The same thing happens in retail. A regular shopper can end up paying more than a new customer just because the system predicts they will buy. Amazon actually earned a lot of criticism in the early 2000s when customers discovered that they were being shown different prices for the same DVDs. The disc was the same for everyone, but the algorithm treated each shopper differently and changed the price accordingly. At the end of the day, you're not choosing the item with the best price, you're choosing the one the algorithm decided for you. And that's a wrap. If you want to switch sides for a moment, I've already got you covered. Our related video is all about the people who found the loopholes first. The ones who played by the rules so literally that companies had to rewrite the entire system. Some of those stories are genius. Some are a mess. And all of them are entertaining. That link is going to show up right about here. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new content, and safe shopping until the next time. So yeah.